Hello and welcome to the latest of our Picks and Ponderings video previews. I'm Nicole Newlist. You can find me at Rogue Clown on Twitter. I'm here with Paul Major, who you can find on Twitter as @HeyLaserbeam. And you can find the both of us on the Picks and Ponderings blog at Chicago Now, as well as at @PicksPonderings on Twitter. Here we take a look at the Blackhawk Handicap. And just like all of the races at Hawthorne that used to be state-bred stakes, it is now run under Illinois preferred conditions. What does that mean? Illinois breds get first shot, but they're also open to horses who are bred in other states who have run here in Illinois sometime within the last 2 months if it doesn't fill up with Illinois breds. So this one has the same sort of configuration, distance, surface, etc. as the Lightning Jet Handicap did through last year, which is to say 6 furlongs on the dirt, open to the boys or the fillies if they want to run there instead of against their own sex. But instead of being restricted only to Illinois breds, it has that Illinois preferred condition. Unlike the other Illinois preferred races, which were all named after geographic marks around the track. You know, the turf stakes, you had the Stickney and the Cicero, the 2 suburbs that Hawthorne straddles. Even with the filly stakes on Hawthorne Gold Cup undercard, the Pershing, or 39th Street, if you will, runs along the south, just south of the track and the barns. This one's the Blackhawk. Blackhawk's not the name of the suburb. Blackhawk's not the name of the street, because Blackhawk's up north, just south of North Avenue, running through, Old Town, Wicker Park, that level of the map. My best guess is it's probably just named after that hockey team we all know and love so much, the Chicago Blackhawks. We see enough connections between the Chicago Blackhawks and horse racing here anyway. Definitely more than we typically see from any of the other 4 major sports here in Chicago. You had Midnight Hawk, who finished second in the Illinois Derby, one of whose owners, Jill Quenneville, the coach of the Blackhawks. You have Eddie Olczyk, who played for the Blackhawks, does a lot of their broadcasting now, and owns his share of horses, including one horse that he owns with a group of contest winners, Win a Horse with Eddie O, that Hawthorne has every year. But this is the Blackhawk Handicap, Illinois preferred, going 6 furlongs on the dirt, and it drew a field of 6. Of course, as for an older horse stakes, just like we talked about in the Pershing, it's an older horse stakes. Scott Becker's emptying the barn again. 6 horses, 3 for Becker. Paul, what are your thoughts?
You mean, we're going to talk now about the Jimmy DeVito and Scott Becker Invitational Handicap. Woohoo! Because they've got 5 of the 6 in here. 3 Beckers and 2 DeVitos. Oh, and 1 from D. Paulus, I forgot. But for a 6-horse stakes, this is a bit tricky of a race to read, because a lot of these horses are fairly even matched, and I think there's a little bit of a wagering trap to watch out for in this race. Maybe it's a horse I'm going to be certainly avoiding, but I'm hoping our readers do not fall into this trap.
I'm curious who you say the trap is, because I can only imagine that you're leading this to me to see if I fall into your quote-unquote trap horse as my number 1 pick. I have no idea who your trap horse is, but my number 1 pick does go to the aforementioned DeVito barn, and that is the number 6, outside drawn, He Looks the Part. He's probably going to have a little something to chase. You've got Crewman, who's definitely going to send. You've got Recount, who's at least going to be somewhat forward. He Looks the Part, loves the Hawthorne Dirt. Loves it, loves it, loves it. In 9 tries over the Hawthorne main, he's got 6 wins and 3/3, including a pretty solid allowance prep 2 back, in which he took a ton of money And then 40 Buys started taking money. But it was He Looks the Part, who rallied into fractions that weren't crazy fast in a pretty short field and won nicely. He's just one of those closers who consistently fires, doesn't need a crazy fast pace, and in a race where it is quite evenly matched, and it seems like just everybody's in with a shot, but this DeVito B, if you will, He Looks the Part. He looks the one for me.
He's not my trap horse at all. He's actually my top choice too. I'm agreeing with you on He Looks the Part, who wheels back in 2 weeks after a win at 6.5, going at Hawthorne, and that optional claimer where he actually was not up for sale. But still, I agree with you fully on He's the Part, and he will also be my top choice. Third off the layoff, and he's even been kicking around in open stakes. Four back he was in an open stakes down at Ellis. 3 back he was in a restricted stakes up at Canterbury. Earlier in the year he was in a stakes at Prairie Meadows, where DeVito takes his polytrack allergic horses. He looks the part fits because he's been keeping company with a lot of these, doing quite well, and as Nicole pointed out astutely, 9 tries over the Hawthorne dirt, 9 tries where he's hit the board with 6 wins. He Looks the Part makes all the sense in this race.
And as far as my second selection in this race, I'm actually going to stick with the DeVito barn as well, and I'm going to go with the number 4, Recount.
Danger, 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 danger. Sorry, you found my trap horse. Sorry, you found my trap. And this coming from I have to come out and say this from someone who, I gotta take a little bit of credit for the fact that I put a little bug into DeVito's ear on Million Day saying, there's this nice stakes out at Parks, the Grade 3 Gallon Bob for $300,000, and he goes off and runs in that race. But as we'll come back, I know it's the humble brag of the year, and I'm probably gonna pay for it picking completely against Recount in this spot. But try to talk me onto Recount, Nicole, because I don't like him in this spot.
All right, what I do like about Recount in this spot is I like that he's returning against state breds. Yes, he's moving against older, but it's been older open. There was the Gallant Bob, and then he went out to Keeneland for the Perryville. Wasn't so great in that either, but the 3 horses who finished top 3 in that, they shuffled again, ran in that $200,000 stakes for 3-year-olds at Mahoning on Monday. Louis Vaporizer, Hebronville, Bayard. They shuffled the cards again, went 1 through 3 with Louis Vaporizer taking it. So, those horses came back and ran a pretty good race for a pretty big bucket of money. Yeah, that was against 3-year-olds, but again, I see a certain meaning in the open stakes versus state bred / state preferred. These are older, but they're not the toughest horses in the world. It's similar in class to what Recount beat in the Addison K-Mac, or you could possibly even argue a little lighter than what he beat in the Addison K-Mac. I mean, we're not seeing any sweet Lucas here after all. He has started once at Hawthorne, and he won the 3-year-old stakes, the Land of Lincoln, back in the spring. I also like the fact that he's getting, one of Paul's themes of the night. I'm going to go here, and that's Tim Thornton. He's been doing very, very well with Jim DeVito recently, and he rides the front-running types quite well. And that's what Recount is. Yeah, he can sit from just off as well, which he may need to do because Crewman's in the field, and Sunrise in East, Sunset in West, Crewman send. That said, he's going to get first run on Crewman, easier horses than he's faced in a while, I put Recount in the mix.
While you and Nicole put Recount in the mix, my danger, danger, the sirens were going off with him. Yes, Recount has had a very nice spring and summer. He won the Lent. He took it. DeVito took his nephew to school in that race, Don the Bomb, and won the Land of Lincoln from an outside post. He also won the KMAC against Elders at Arlington on the Poly and stretched out to a mile and beat Strictly Sophomores and the Bruce D on Arlington Million Day. I know I'm gonna get, and I know I get humble brag of the year for saying, for when DeVito said after the Bruce D, we're gonna try something different. And something different ended up being the Gallant Bob, a grade 3 for $300,000 on the Parks on the PA Derby undercard at Parks. It's worth noting that on Pennsylvania Derby Day, the rail was radioactive. It wasn't just dead. They were having Walking Dead rehearsals there. That's how radioactive it was. You had to be in the 92 path to do any rallying in there, and Recount got stuck at the rail. Now, you can excuse Recount's clunker in the Gallant Bob for he's just an Illinois bred shipping out to a grade 3, and he's an Illinois bred shipping out to a grade 3 who caught a radioactive rail. I can't let his clunker in the Perryville go. That to me thinks that Recount might be a little over the top, that he needs to go away for the winter, go off into a nice little pasture, and maybe go down to Tampa or Gulfstream where Jimmy DeVito takes some of his winter stock. Just go down there, soak in some Florida sunshine, and come back at Hawthorne in the spring and be all better. Considering how supportive I've been with him, I could pay for this dearly. Considering how I've backed him in races like the Bruce D and the Gallant Bomb in tossing him out, but this is racing and you have to make tough decisions sometimes. Mine is to throw out Recount and go to a trainer who has half of the field in here, and that's Scott Becker. I'm going to go to Creative Art as my second choice here. 6-1 on the morning line, and I believe the longest shot on the field of the 6. Even though Creative Art was 4th in the KMAC, that same KMAC won by Recount, he does have a win earlier this year over the Hawthorne Dirt in the State Bred Stakes Company, where he won the Malaro, winning it over fellow entrant Love Bandit. Creative Art's got a good Hawthorne record: 10 starts, 4 wins, 4 seconds. It's Santos Sanjur riding for Scott Becker. One might think this is a cause of concern, but Sanjur typically is B rider when Chris Amy is the A rider, or when Chris Amy flies down to Oakland and takes mounts during Hawthorne's winter meet. And Sanjur's done quite a nice role as the B rider. And during the Hawthorne meet, they've hooked up 8 times. They've won twice. They've got 3 more additional money finishes. It's the Becker B or C, depending on how you slot the other 2 behind A, Love Bandit. And I'm going to likely get a price considering it's Sanjur riding, not Amy.
I get that. And I'm going to Scott Becker for my C slotted horse, or for my 3rd slotted horse here. Although I'm not going to Creative Art, I'm going to the 3, Purely Given. Purely Given has been a new horse since being claimed into the Scott Becker barn over the course of the summer. He's won every start but one, was 2nd in the one start that he didn't win for Scott Becker. Yes, he loses Chris Amy to that Becker A entry, Love Bandit. He gets Chris Landeros aboard and doesn't ride here that often, but Purely Given is very strong over the course. He's hit the board in 9 of 13 starts at Hawthorne, and he's been quite solid at the 6 furlong distance as well. Going 6 panels on the main in 13 starts, he's got 5 wins and another 5 in the money finishes. I also like the fact that he's going to be stalking relatively close to the pace, so I'm not quite sure how much pace pressure there's going to be. He's been off for the last month and a half, but those mid-length lays are pretty strong, really just like everything is for Scott Becker, honestly. But he should have Purely Given cranked, ready to go. And this is a step up. This is a stakes debut for Purely Given, but given his running style, his affinity for the course, and the speeds he's been throwing since he moved into the barn of Scott Becker, he's the right horse in the right form and should be in the frame at a good price.
Another horse who I'm thinking is going to be in the frame at a good price is the number 1 Crewman. And you said before, the sun rises in the east, it sets in the west, and Crewman sends. The fact that Crewman sends is why I like him in this spot, because it's a short field of 6. And I'm getting the speed of the speed in a short field. Sometimes that's a very good thing to have, because the speed in a short field can sometimes slow the race down and take out closers. Take out someone like Love Bandit, who at 6 furlongs reverts to pure closer. Although Crewman did all the dirty work in the Cicero, it's worth noting that he does have some 6 furlong races back in the form. Earlier this year he was third in a non-winners 1 allowance at Hawthorne. Very early in the year before trainer Deep Hollis put him on the turf. He had been doing a little bit of dirt work. Granted, this one might have got stuck in the non-winners 1 allowance condition there, but maybe with this one in form and maybe going turf to dirt, which for the trainers is 60% of the money per proposition, maybe this is one that can hang around longer than expected, and especially so because of the short field.
I get exactly what you're saying about Crewman, and I actually slotted Crewman number 1 as my long shot. Speed of the speed in the short field, I signed on right with you there. He's never missed the board going 6 furlongs. He started 4 times, finished in the money all 4 of those times. I do like him as a speedier type dialing back. So I sign on to everything you're talking about with the form. And the one thing that I would add with Crewman, and that makes him also particularly interesting here, is that Dee Poulos has been on fire recently. She won 3 races on Saturday. She won the only race that was carded on Tuesday before the rest of the card was canceled. And then Wednesday, we're recording this Wednesday, she won another race today. She's the hot trainer. She's a hot trainer this week, and as goofy as that sounds, especially since Crewman's going to be a decent price against, these Beckers and DeVitos, worth looking at when such a blazing hot trainer has the speed of the speed in a 6-horse field. So for my long shot, I do look to number 1, Crewman.
For me with a long shot, since I'm putting Nicole's long shot third, that only leaves me with 3 other horses. Love Bandit, who's probably going to be the favorite. It also leaves me with Recount, who I feel is over the top. And it leaves me with Purely Given, who probably is slotted as the Becker B. I can't find anything. I think the carcass has been picked bare, so I got no long shot.
So looking back at our selections in the Blackhawk Handicap for Saturday at Hawthorne, on top, I've got the number 6, He Looks the Part. Second, I slot the number 4, Recount. Third, the number 3, Purely Given, with a long shot of the number 1, Crewman.
For me in the Blackhawk Handicap, the 3rd race on Saturday's November 28th card, that's headlined by the Hawthorne Gold Cup, I've got number 6, He Looks the Part on top. Number 5, Creative Arts second. And number 1, Crewman third. Crewman is at 6 to he looks the part at 7-2 on the morning line. Creative Art and Crewman, both the co-longest shots at 6-1 on the morning line. With my long shot to watch being that, kind of like the turkey on Saturday morning, it's picked there. You're not going to find much.
Thank you very much for watching our video preview of Saturday's Blackhawk Handicap at Hawthorne. Have a great Thanksgiving weekend, and good luck.